You can't use old wood to make a nest. Clearmind was directed by Rebecca Escrolls, whose previous work includes What Breaks the Ice and other projects. Check out our IMDb page for the full list of her work. This is written by Sienna Coffoed, who did 30 Miles to Nowhere and has acted in some other films. And you can check out her IMDb page to see what she's been up to. And she also plays the character of Kate. But this centers around the character of Nora, played by Rebecca Kreskoff, who basically is trying to pick up the pieces. Pick up the pieces. Our Lord and Savior's average white band strike again with their great advice. Basically, her daughter died at a pool party where she drowned. Obviously, it's not like she could have just suddenly been assumed into heaven and dropped back down. And oh my god, she missed the pool doing the ... dive. So, yeah, Nora isn't handling it all that well. I mean, she's trying to, but really anybody that loses a child, when you lose your flesh and blood, you lose somebody that you are so attached to, you're not going to be able to handle it all that well. Her marriage dissolved. Her husband, Michael, is with somebody younger. And, well, Nora is at some form of therapy led by her friend Lily. Basically, it's VR. Basically, it's called Clearmind. In a movie called Clearmind. It's so goddamn weird. And Nora is trying to work through all the grief, all the trauma, all the anger, all bringing on the heartache. And, yeah, Nora basically is locked into a therapy session where she is bound determined to figure out how she can work through this grief with her various friends that really haven't kept in contact with her. And yeah, it's just that kind of film where it's marketed as a comedy horror with a little bit of psychological elements. And look, this movie's more of a concept than anything else. And while I appreciate what they were trying to do, this wasn't that great. I'm sorry. It just wasn't. It's on Tubi if you want to check it out. And Tubi's an ad-based free streaming service. And maybe you'll feel differently than I did, but this movie totally missed the goddamn mark. I mean, everybody seemed like they were having fun with it, but really nothing surprising. I mean, they pretty much lay everything right out there. And when you do a comedy horror, you have to have enough comedy to offset any lack of good horror, and you have to have, good horror to offset any lack of comedy that just lands with a resounding thud and then burrows into the goddamn earth. And while it's certainly not the worst thing I've seen, it's just not all that great. Again, at least it seems like everybody had fun with it, and a neat little idea that had pretty poor execution. So, yes, while dealing with that grief would be absolutely terrible, and that would be something to dive into, yeah, this kind of just a mishmash where stuff doesn't really happen for a while. There's not really a lot of setup. There's a lot of really super unlikable characters, so you don't care who ends up dying. And even Nora is not somebody you really can root for. It's on Tubi if you want to check it out. I'm going to get into spoilers, so 3, 2, 1, this is your warning. Spoilers. So, yeah, basically this VR therapy session is Nora's way of working out, hey, I'm going to just kill my friends. That's pretty much it right there. The beginning of it, there's a pool montage. People constantly ask, what's the Wi-Fi password? I think that line is said at least 4 times during this opening. And, yeah, the daughter dies. It is unfortunate. And sometimes you turn your back for 1 second and suddenly your kid, boom, drowns in a pool, and then you're dealing with all this stuff. And the VR therapy called Clearmind, like there's this stuff about watching birds, building nests. You can't use old wood to build a nest. You can't basically, just hold on to your anger and grief and sadness and stuff like that and expect to move on. And yeah, that's a neat little theme. And everybody just gathers at this house in the woods. There's hunters shooting off and trying to kill birds, seemingly. There are 3 semi-music montages where, various forms of whatever type of music just play, and that's okay, but when you're padding out an 85-minute movie, that's not great. The tone changes when Nora arrives, and basically everybody's partying. It's obvious this is all in Nora's head. And Nora finally decides to basically, pour her heart out at a campfire deal, or, a fire pit deal, and then she decides to just, kill everybody. She poisons one person's drink. I think that's Kate, who is the aforementioned writer. And then she kills Michael off. None of the kills are very good, by the way. I mean, the actress playing Nora, she does fine, but it's not really great. It turns out that Michael's new squeeze, Shelby, who's much younger than him, by the way, is pregnant. And people die in stupid ways. One guy gets electrocuted in a hot tub. And then Lily's also part of this whole thing. She's there and she can't get hold of the goddamn host. So she's stuck in this whole damn thing somehow. And her assistant is a fucking idiot. The character, I don't mean the actor. And yeah, it's all VR. There's a few neat little, attempts at like trying to be like all spoopy and crazy. Where this guy is running, he just keeps running in a loop and everything. And yeah, she basically is trying to kill off all these people, and then she saw Michael and Lily at the pool party, and it seemed like Lily was a bit of a hewer, as Stu Hart once said. You're making Diana seem like a hewer. If you are a wrestling fan, you are dying laughing in the comments. And it was all in her head, and she wants to move on. And then it's starting over, because apparently it just starts where she's back at the party, and she's like, oh, I just thought I'd stop by, like she said before, and it doesn't solve anything. It doesn't. I'm sorry. It's not funny. It's not scary. It's not thought-provoking. It's an inoffensive movie, but it's not very good. To the point you really aren't going to get much material out of it. That means that neat little idea, poor execution. F, sorry, F. Am I going to say 1 out of 10? No, but it gets an F grade. So agree, disagree, what I said, like, share, subscribe, Twitter handle in the description. I'm John Rentlin. I'll see you soon.